Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Net to Net podcast. I'm here with your co-host, Sam Kelty, and of course, I am Casey Kirsch. Here we are talking about English Premier League football, Saudi Arabian football, and just football around the world. So, Sam, if we're going to start off with the EPL this past weekend, with a lot of different fixtures, obviously Man City being top of the table, taking care of business as we thought they would. You see Tottenham winning 2-0 and a few other big fixtures this week. What was your fixture of the week so far?
Yeah, I had a couple. Probably the biggest one going from match day 3 would have had to been the Liverpool Newcastle. I think that was probably the most interesting game, just pure based on the teams alone. We saw Newcastle was pretty much winning the game up until the 80th minute around there when Darwin Nunez scored, unfortunately, and then scored again. Scored again in the 90th. Well, I don't like Liverpool. I can't stand Liverpool sometimes. They're very annoying. But yeah, Darwin Nunez scored twice. He got his second goal, I believe, in the I believe the 90th plus extra from assist from Salah. Newcastle pretty much had it in the bag. I don't know what happened there on Newcastle side. They pretty much everything was in their favor. They were up 1-0, up a man on them since Van Dijk got sent off for a terrible tackle. I don't know what he was thinking. Taking out Isak it was a goal scoring opportunity, clear goal scoring opportunity, and he just takes him out. I don't know what he was thinking. That's not very smart of him. And then trying to argue that he didn't mean to do it, but we all saw it. He didn't even go for the ball, really. So that happened. And then leading up to Newcastle's first goal, I don't honestly know what Trent was doing, to be honest. Trent tried to trap it. It just went under his foot. And then Anthony Gordon kind of just pounced on it and just went to goal. And I believe it was either a nutmeg or a chip over Allison. A little chip, but either way, it went in the back of the net, and Newcastle was firing. They looked pretty good. My only thing was why they subbed out Tonali at the 72nd minute. I think that was really the kind of turning point for Liverpool. Take advantage of that because they brought in Sean Longstaff, he's an okay player, but he's not Tonali level. I think if they kept Tonali in, he would have been able to just control the game, slow down the pace of the game, and been able to keep possession. Newcastle could have had a second goal, like in the 76th minute. Almiron was driving down the right-hand side, cuts in, and hits the post and bounces out, which probably if that was last year, it goes in because he was hitting kind of goals like that last year. But from that standpoint, from the games that were even, Liverpool and Newcastle was probably the most interesting. The most storyline was how City was going to do without Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola wasn't coaching due to having back surgery, and he was back in Barcelona. I know they were saying they were in contact with Pep during the game via phone call using AirPods. We saw them passing around the AirPods. But honestly, City looked a little blustered. I think the key takeaway from that was Haaland's penalty miss hits the post. Got the keeper going the wrong way, hits the post, but then they equalize on the other side later in the second half by a header. But it was pure domination by City. City had 30 shots, only 9 on target though, but 80 possession to Sheffield's 6 shots, 2 on target, and 20% possession. But other than that, Kyle Walker, former Sheffield United Academy, makes a dumb mistake of trying to backheel it in your own box right to Sheffield to tie the game at 1-1 apiece, and then later in the game, in the 85th minute or 86th minute, Rodri, beautiful strike, arguably one or the best, second best or first best CDM in the Premier League. But those are my takeaways from match day 3.
Yeah, of course, those are some good picks from match day 3, of course. But for me, it had to be. This is more of a under the radar type game, but it was another team that both was picked to be in our top 2. Arsenal versus Fulham on match day 2. This game ended in 2-2 with Fulham scoring in the first minute. Andres Pereira scored in the first minute on a lovely goal. And then Arsenal kind of dominated the whole game here with 71% possession, 19 shots, 11 on target, compared to Fulham's 8 shots and 3 on target. They kind of just berated the whole game when it came to crosses, playing out wide and everything, and just using their wingers to their advantage because they have, of course, Bukayo Saka and a few others. But Zinchenko played as well. Bukayo Saka scored a penalty in the 70th minute. Eddie Nketiah scored 2 minutes later, the 72nd minute. And then all Arsenal fans breaking their heart and everything. But Fulham ended up scoring 87th minute, Paulinho, and the game ended in a 2-2 draw. It's just a classic Premier League game where the underdogs were able to stick it out and just kind of, even with almost no possession, I mean, 29% possession is nothing to hold your hat about. But they ended up doing it on 3 shots on target, scoring 2 goals, and it was pretty impressive to see them compete with one of the teams we picked as title contenders. What do you think about that game, Sam?
Yeah, it was a good game. I thought Fulham is really good. Fulham was really good defensively last year.
Mm.
They definitely changed it up. I think I think the ref this game let a lot go. There definitely should have been a stoppage when Bassi went down, injured, that led to the first to the Nketiah goal, which was bad calling on the referees. Which, because in the laws of the rules, you can call it if it's a head injury or if it's a severe injury. And Calvin Bassi was down for a while, holding his shoulder on the
Yep.
touchline, which played to Arsenal's advantage because he kept Arsenal's wingers, Martinelli and Saka, on sides that made up to that link up delay, which I think was terrible calling with the referee. But Fulham looked good. They were hanging in there for the most part until that red card late in the game. They looked pretty good. From the Arsenal side, I don't know why they keep playing Havertz. Havertz doesn't, honestly, I don't, the Havertz role isn't working. If you watch that game, Havertz was very poor again. Didn't really do much, and they brought on Fabio Vieira, who changed the game so quickly. Fabio Vieira was up and down the pitch, running around. He was having an insane game when he came on. I believe he assisted the Nketiah goal.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he looked very good. I think you play him. My other thing is, why have they been subbing out Odegaard? He hasn't played a full match yet. He's been coming out around the 70th minute, so I'm wondering why they've been subbing him out instead. Like, yes, they subbed out Havertz, but they are also subbing out your captain, who you want up there in the later games because he can get you a goal. They brought in Jorginho, which I think would make sense if you're winning the game and you can slow down the game because that's what he does. But that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But honestly, Leno for Fulham played a great game. It's good to see Gabriel Jesus back from injury. He came in for Declan Rice in the 90th minute. We got to see a little of him. I did like what I saw from Fulham, and I think they're kind of a dark horse in this to finish in the top 10. Like top 10, like 10, 11, maybe 9. I think they have a really good team. Leno playing against his former team just pretty much kept Fulham in this game. saved them a lot because 11 shots on target and you only let 2 in. That's pretty good for Leno. He had a game. Very underrated keeper. But with Ramsdale's recent performances, I wouldn't be shocked if Arsenal leans toward David Raya come next game. He just honestly, since the MLS All Star game, he hasn't looked that great. And through the first 3 games, I believe, Arsenal has conceded a decent amount. They conceded 2 against Fulham, 1 against Nottingham. So it's just to be interesting to see. But it is early in the season. Maybe you stick with Ramsdale for a couple more games. We'll see how they do against Man U next Sunday. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they go to Raya early. That's why they brought him in.
Right, right. So looking over at the Premier League table over the past 3 weeks, we've had a lot of shakeup compared to our original predictions. But one of the big surprises of the top four is West Ham United finishing in second place in the Premier League so far. And after a lousy 1-1 draw against Bournemouth in the first week, they look pretty strong against Chelsea with a 3-1 victory. And then against Brighton this past Saturday at 3-1 as well. You know, they're a really crafty team on the counterattack. And although they're not a big possession-based team, they can really fire on all cylinders when they get in the final third. And that's why they're averaging 2.3 goals per game. And their defenses look pretty solid as well, with many of the new players also bringing in for this transfer window. Sam, what's your take on West Ham so far, and how do you think they got here in second place in the Premier League?
Yeah, West Ham. Last week they played Chelsea. Annihilation of Chelsea.
Yep.
Chelsea got embarrassed to lose that game, which West Ham even had a man down against Chelsea, and they still won 3-1. Yes, it was later in the game. They were already down 2-1, but either way, West Ham still looked pretty good. This week they played Brighton, who people thought Brighton was going to do good. Wasn't the case. Jared Bowen got a goal in the 56th minute with James Ward-Prowse scoring first in this around the 16th minute. James Ward-Prowse has looked good since he's been there. He had an assist last week and a goal this week. Edson Alvarez started his first game for West Ham. He looked really good in that number 6 role. I like that Souček and Ward-Prowse were together. Unfortunately, Souček got subbed out early, which meant they brought in Ben Rama on the wing and moved Paquete back into the midfield, which I think is a better shout because Ben Rama is more an out that winger when Paquete is more of a center mid box-to-box cam, which I think it fits more of a role at that center mid. The Obana, who I did not expect to be playing right now, looked pretty good, sharp with Zuma. Kufal and Emerson looked pretty good as well. I like that they went with Areola to start the season. I think he's a better choice over Fabianski. Fabianski's a club legend, but he's just getting older. But the form of West Ham is insane. And we're not even talking about some of the signings they brought in. Like we have Marponzo from Stuttgart, the center back. He didn't play yet. He's came in. He's going to strengthen that back line. Their normal center back, our guard at Guarda, the Moroccan center back, he unfortunately was suspended, so we didn't get to see him. But I would love to see him and Marponza play together because that will be a great, I think, partnership. I would love to see West Ham make another move. We saw that after the game, they announced that Mohamed Kundus from Ajax is signing for 5 + 1 year. So be a 6-year deal. Coming over from Ajax, which is a great signing. He can play center mid, he can play right wing. Help, especially with that rotation when they play in European competition as well as they will this year and in their domestic cups to go along with the Premier League because they need that squad depth. I hope they bring in maybe another striker. I think Danny Ings is okay, but you need some more cover behind Mikel Antonio just because of Danny Ings' injury history. And then as of about a few minutes ago, I got a notification saying that there is a potential of Harry Maguire joining the squad on loan. He's changed his mind about joining West Ham, and that was reported by Fabrizio. So if they can get Harry Maguire, yes, he hasn't been the same for a while, but he still can give you depth and cover in certain games when you need to rest your starters. And it's a big move for West Ham right now. They're in second place. I know the season's early. They really haven't played anyone too good yet. The real test will come against the big boys. Yes, they played one of the big boys, but it's a younger big boy. It's not like the main big boys of like
Hey, is
Liverpool.
Chelsea a big boy this season though?
Chelsea's always a big boy. Chelsea's always
Okay.
a big boy. They're just not like the typical like superstar power you used to see back in the past. Not
Yeah.
like with City right now or Liverpool or Arsenal or Man United. Not them yet, but those will be the big tests.
Okay. And for our last team, surprising in the top three as well, Tottenham Hotspur has also been a team that I predicted would finish in the top three. And although that was before Harry Kane left, they somehow are in third place, tying Brentford 2-2, where they actually looked pretty well, even after Harry Kane didn't play. They were expecting him to be there for the season, and he didn't. Tying Brentford isn't really what you want, but the fact that they looked really strong, James Maddison looked strong in his debut, and then for the last 2 weeks, they win 2-0 against Manchester United, a really dominant game for them, and they beat Bournemouth 2-0 this week with a lot of their players. I mean, I feel like they're just a really well-rounded squad right now. They're playing as a good team. And I know I picked Son as the most improved player, but he hasn't been that great, and they still are winning games. Sam, what are your impressions about Tottenham this season? And I know they haven't had the most competition, but they did beat Manchester United 2-0 in a really solid victory. So what do you think about them?
Um, I think for Tottenham, especially with losing Kane, is a huge deal. We all knew that United is United. They're either gonna play really good or they're gonna play really bad, and it's just how they are with their personnel. So it with that game, it could have went either way. But yeah, Tottenham's look good. I feel like they're in that honeymoon phase of we've won 3 games, we're gonna do good, but then it's gonna fizzle out halfway through the season with because you saw Kulusevski has an injury history, James Maddison has somewhat of an injury history. Richarlison doesn't really give you that. I believe Richarlison has not scored a single goal yet this year, which he is your number 9. He's your only number 9 on the roster. Let's be clear. Tottenham does not have a number 9 behind Richarlison. You can play Son up there. You can play Kulusevski up there. Kulusevski's played like a false 9 before when he was at Juve, and Son has played striker before, but they're not your typical strikers. They're your wingers. I like that. They're giving Papa Sar a run. He's young. He's got good energy, but I hope they can keep Højbjerg. He's very valuable to your team, and I know he's been linked with Atletico Madrid throughout the entire summer. So if you can hold on to him, I think he brings you a lot of leadership. Basumu's finally getting a run in, which I'd love to see. Hopefully they can sell Lo Celso and bring in maybe someone else because Lo Celso doesn't look like he's going to play at all right now. The most interesting thing is playing Destiny Udagogi. They bought him last year from Udinese. He's a young left wing back, and I was shocked that they've been starting him over Perisic, which Perisic gives you kind of that experience in the Premier League as well. But he's good off the bench. I just think their team is in that weird honeymoon phase of we're not playing that good of teams. Yes, United is a good team, but the other 2 teams, Bournemouth and Brentford, they're not great teams. So wait till they play. Like it's the same thing with West Ham. Wait till they play the big boys at the top of the table, like United, like City and Liverpool and Arsenal, and see how they do. Their back line's pretty young. I believe their oldest player on their back line, not counting the goalie, is Christian Romero, which is 25. Their squad is not old. They're very young, and Vicario is 26. The new goalie they brought in from Italy, but I think they're rejuvenized due to bringing in a new coach. They don't have the distractions of Conte's personality with calling out the ownership and the board last year during the season, getting fired. I think that was just a lot. They can finally put the Harry Kane transfer bet news to rest now because it's over. He's gone. Now, really, they only have to deal with is if Daniel Levy decides to sell the club or not. And I believe one of their part owners is in some insider trading stuff, which I don't think really matters because I think he's only been to like in the last 5 years, only been to like maybe 2 games. So he's not really hands on. So they don't really have to worry about that issue. It's more of if Daniel Levy decides to sell the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tottenham, I don't think they're going to keep up this form, but it is cool to see that they have kind of weathered the storm with Harry Kane being out and out of the team and everything. And now they, like you said, they can put this whole saga behind them and kind of move on for the future with the young players in the squad and the existing players in the squad. So just switching gears a little bit, so moving over to Saudi Arabia and football. Of course, more news for Saudi Arabia, more transfer news, a lot of new transfers, a lot of competition coming into the league and everything, and you see all over Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. Oh, Ronaldo started the process. Oh, Ronaldo, it's Ronaldo. He did it all. But really, it's all about the money for a lot of these players, and you know, money over passion. That's what I'm thinking here. But the next question for you, Sam, is what was your big move for Saudi Arabia the past week or two, and how is that going to affect their new squad? For me, I'll go first on this one. For me, definitely has to be, as much as I hate to say, because as a Barcelona fan, it's got to be Neymar going to Al Hilal, and it's just so sad to see that he chose money over Barca yet again. Are you kidding me? Money over Barca again. What ruined his career? What derailed his career? The fact that when Neymar was at Barca, and you think, oh, this kid's going to win multiple Ballon d'Ors. Oh, he's going to win a World Cup. Oh, he's going to win Copa Americas. Oh, he's going to win Champions Leagues. But since 2015, what has he done? What has he done besides score a lot of goals? I mean, yeah, he's scored. He's gotten injured every season. He's not gotten along with teammates. You know, he's not been happy in Paris. You know, and now he goes to another situation where if things don't go exactly his way, he doesn't get to go to Brazil for his sister's birthday party. He's not gonna, like being there anymore. But that's just my take on it. I think Neymar, it just frustrates me. He constantly frustrates me because all the rumors say, oh, he wants to go back to Barca. He's gonna take a pay cut to go back to Barca. But guess what he does? He chooses money yet again, like the snake he is. And he is a great player, though. Al Hilal got a good one. As long as he stays healthy, he's still one of the best in the world. Will he ever win a Ballon d'Or? Like, no, he won't. Will he ever win a World Cup or another Champions League? No, he won't. So, I mean, his big trophies are behind him and everything. He's going to do good in the Saudi League. He's still a top player and everything. He's got good quality players around him. Like Al Hilal brought in Mitrovic to play up top. They brought in Malcolm to play on the right wing.
Another Barcelona reject.
I know, another Barca reject, right? They brought in Savic as well as Ruben Neves to play in the midfield. They just have a lot of solid pieces. I mean, they also brought in Koulibaly from Chelsea, who had a down year, but I think he'll be good in Saudi Arabia again. And I mean, of course, they bring in the second best goalie in the whole World Cup. They bring in Bono, and I mean, who really can compete with this team right now? I mean, they're really solid all around every position for the Saudi League. Let's just make that clear. For the Saudi League, I don't know how many teams can compete with them, just because they have really quality players. But yeah, Neymar is my top signing over the past few weeks for Saudi Arabia. and I don't think it's close. But Sam, I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, to go off of that, first of all, Neymar wanted to return to Barca, but Xavi didn't want him because he thought he would disrupt the locker room, which makes
Yep.
sense he would. So
But Xavi
technically,
also agreed that he could come back at the end, and then he still chose Saudi after he was pressuring Xavi to make him come back for all the time.
yeah,
But
I think if he chose Barcelona, it would have been more like he doesn't really want me here, but he'll take me. I guess I really don't. It's more of like I don't think he would have belonged really with them. Um, with that situation, Neymar is obviously probably the most obvious one to pick from. You can't really you're getting a quality a guy that was regarded as a top in the conversation for top three best in the world during the Messi and Ronaldo era. Um, yeah, like you said, he can't stay healthy. He usually plays up until December, then disappears, then comes back for international duty, then gets hurt at international duty. Then he's just non-existent for a little bit. Just doesn't do a whole lot. But I would say if I don't pick Neymar, then I gotta go with Al Nazir. They made two signings, which I think makes their team even better. Yes, they let Gonzalo Martinez, aka Pitti, go back to River Plate on a free due to the rule of you can't have more than 6 foreign players in your squad. I believe it's 6 or 8. It's one of those two. But they brought in Lameric Laporte from Man City, and they brought in Otavio from Porto, Portuguese winger, playing the right side. Which, if you think Otavio, Mane, and Ronaldo up front is a very dangerous combination. Yes, there you have the likes of Saint Maximin, Mahrez, and Firmino. You have the likes of Benzema and Jota if he stays, and Raminho, and if they end up getting Salah, which there has been recent rumors. Um, Depends on how they do. Uh, so I'm going with El Nazir. If you watched the last game, because now we can watch them on Fox Sports on FS1 and FS2 now, because they have the rights to the Saudi League. Their last game, Ronaldo and Mane. Mane scored a brace, and Ronaldo scored a hat trick. Just add Otavio to that, and you have Alex Telles. You have Laporte. Once they get David Ospina back, they'll have a goalie. All they really need is a right back and maybe a second center back because their midfield is Talisca, Fabinho, and Brozovic. That's a pretty lethal midfield. You're not going to get the ball that much. And then your up front is insane. You just need a right back maybe and a center back, which I don't know if they can get. I know Sergio Ramos is out there, but he's been linked to El Etihad over the last few hours. It looks like they're going to make a push for him. I know uh, there's so many different people. Verratti's still out there. I believe last I saw, he's linked to going to Al Arib in Saudi, so he might be going there. But I think a lot with Saudi, there's a lot of people moving, a lot of moving pieces. It's more interesting to see all the players that are linked to it. And in recent times, according to the Mirror, about 14 hours ago, that Mo Salah, after he played in the Newcastle game today, he's supposed to fly out for his medical at Al Etihad, and that was reported by the Mirror. And I was also looking; it was also reported by multiple sources that Liverpool are hoping to try to convince the winger not to leave, but according to decent reports, he is interested in the move. He's booked the medical for the Daily Express. Says he books the medical after today's game against Newcastle. Salah has informed that he wants to leave for Saudi Arabia. If I'm Liverpool, I don't turn down 100 million for him because you either get 100 million now or you let him walk for free next year, which would be a terrible idea. But I think Salah could be the next one out.
Could be. And there's been a lot of reports about that, like you were saying. But El Nasir, they really need those signings because right now they are currently 10th in the Saudi Pro League with 3 points in 3 games.
Well, you
Um,
forget that Ronaldo didn't play the first 2 games.
he didn't. But you got to remember that they still have to make up that ground regardless. El Etihad. Right now, as you said, they're linked to Mohamed Salah from Liverpool. They brought in Karim Benzema this past window. And they are 3 wins in 3 games, sitting at first place in the Saudi Pro League at 9 points. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this stacks up. And like you said, they are now on Fox. So here in America, we are able to see the games and see what's going on with all these big signings and mostly older players, with some younger players coming in as well. But switching gears, so big week last week for American soccer, and obviously one little Argentinian player who is much greater than his size seems wins the Leagues Cup in America in his first tournament. Of course, we're talking about the one, the only, greatest player of all time, Lionel Messi, winning the Leagues Cup with Inter Miami, who was the worst team in the MLS at his time of signing, and comes in, becomes the best player in the MLS, obviously, scores the most amount of goals, and leads his team, along with Sergio Busquets, who is signing free agent from Barcelona, and free agent Jordi Alba from also Barcelona. I mean, they're just unstoppable with those 3. And like I said, many episodes before, that like how do you stop those 3? As well as Josef Martinez, who's the really experienced striker in the MLS. He's played for Atlanta, where I believe he was the MVP, wasn't he, Sam?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
the
he was.
MVP of the
He,
MLS a few years back.
Yeah, he was a former MVP, playing next to Lionel Messi, and they just have so many weapons right now. It's like, how do you even do anything against them, really? But they played against a really good Nashville team in the final. They played against a lot of great teams going up to the final, but that final was one to remember. And I'll let Sam put some more details about the cup here, but wow, what a Leagues Cup! The first Leagues Cup in history for American soccer and the MLS. But what a way to headline it. So many storylines, and I'll let Sam take it over from here.
Yeah. Just real quick, I just wanted to mention before we dive into this lovely Leagues Cup and MLS stuff. I just want to say, with the Saudi League, it's not all players. The just a couple days ago, Italian football manager Roberto Mancini left the Italian national team, which was a shocker, and is now going to coach the Saudi Arabian national team. He's going to make 27 million per year. He'll make his debut in the dugout on September 8th against Costa Rica, and he said on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, but now X, he said, "I have made history in Europe. Now it's time to make history in Saudi Arabia," which you're leaving a team that you just won the European Championships not too long ago. Yes, you did miss out on the World Cup again, which is very bad for a huge nation like Italy. But big news there. It's not just players. We all are seeing coaches move. But now switching back to the MLS, like Casey mentioned, yes, Leagues Cup is officially over. It was a great tournament. I enjoyed every single minute of it. We watched so many teams play, so many games played. I just want to say, I was rooting for pretty much all the MLS teams. I'm glad we did better than Liga MX. Now they can stop saying that they're the big boys. They're our brothers. We're the younger brother. No, that's not the case. We are the big boys. We are MLS. We're better than Liga MX. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. I believe in the top 4, we had 3 of the 4 finalists, and they all qualified for CONCACAF Champions League next year, which was the main prize as well as the money prize. But going back to it, yes, Messi, Inter Miami, what they did is Cinderella story, a fairy tale story that no one saw coming. Let's be real. They were dead. They're
No
dead.
one?
You can hear me out. They were dead last. They're dead last in the MLS. You bring in Messi, that starts the trend. You bring in Busquets, you bring in Jordi Alba, and you bring in these youngsters like Diego Gomez, Tomas Alvial, who hasn't even really played yet. And then they elevate the play of your other players, of DeAndre Yedlin, your former captain, Josef Martinez, Tata Martinez, brings in the experience of winning an MLS Cup, winning trophies at Barcelona, and Atlanta United, and coaching the national team with Mexico. Upgrades the play of Taylor and the youngster Kraminski. The only thing that I'm still shaky about Inter Miami going down the stretch is their center back play. Kamal Miller, Kravosky, not the answers. They are vulnerable. If they didn't have Messi, they're not winning these games because Messi is single handedly carrying this team. Their center back play is not good. If you watch the teams that score on them, they go down the middle because they cannot defend that well. Calendar, yes, he's upped his play since Messi has came. He's looked very good. He actually, after the Leagues Cup got announced, that he will be getting called up for the next round of international play for the U.S. So that's very good. At least we have some keepers in the round. But if you watch that game against Nashville, it was a very good game. I believe Hani Mukhtar struck first in the game. I believe because the game ended 1-1. Hani Mukhtar scored, or not? Sorry, Hani Mukhtar.
Messi scored in the
Fa-
23rd, and then
yeah,
yep.
Messi scored in the first, and then Fafa scored in the second. I forgot Hani Mukhtar's goal got called back due to interference. But if you look at it, it was a pretty good game. Yes, Inter Miami dominated possession, but Nashville had more shots on target and on goal,
Yeah.
which they just couldn't finish that final product. Nashville had a great run at the tournament. Sam Surridge was a pretty good signing they got from Nottingham Forest. Hani Mukhtar, Dax McCarthy, they played very well. Walker Zimmerman was pretty much a beast in the back. Only that one goal, and then it came down to penalty shots. And unfortunately, both teams missed at the end. But it was a good all in all. I think everybody saw this ride that Inter Miami was on, and they just won it, and I think everybody wanted them to win it. I wanted our crew to win it, but it was good to see. I'm okay with Inter Miami winning. If it's not Liga MX team, I don't really care. They can have it. It just couldn't be a Liga MX team. But it was a fun tournament. I can't wait for next year. I forget who it was brought it up, but I think we should include um, the Argentinian league and the Brazilian league. I think if we did an America tournament between South America's of Argentina and Brazil's teams and Liga MX teams and MLS teams, I think it'd be a huge success because we. How would you like to watch River Plate take on an MLS team or have James Rodriguez and Lucas Moura come from Sao Paulo to play at Inter Miami against the likes of Busquets and Jordi Alba and Messi? That would be really cool. And there's still time for Inter Miami to sign a center back this window because if they go in the free agent market, I know I've seen a lot of fans asking and urging David Beckham to sign Sergio Ramos. And I'm saying on the pod right now, I know he's probably not going to watch this, but David Beckham signed Sergio Ramos. You need a center back. You need a center back to play with Kamal Miller. Sergio Ramos gives you that leadership and experience in the back.
I will say that I think their defensive woes are a bit overblown. I think they're not the best, obviously, but I don't think they need a center back, right? I mean, it'd be nice to have another center back, a Sergio Ramos, of course, because who wouldn't want a Sergio Ramos? But I mean, they hold Cruz Azul to 1 goal. They hold Atlanta to 0. They hold Orlando to 1, and they outscored those uh, by 9-2. Okay, in those games, right? Dallas, they got scored on by 4. They got scored on 4, but they also won that game in penalties, 4-4. Um, they have Charlotte shut out 4-0. Philadelphia only scores 1 on them. They score 4. In Nashville, they hold to 1 when they're away. And they were away against most of these teams. So I think their defensive woes are a bit overblown. I think Sergio Busquets helps out a lot, relieving their defense, playing around the back with relieving pressure, making sure they don't get pressed out of the game, and just playing with Messi and Busquets. It's tough to press these guys. So I think they're going to be able to get by with who they have now. And obviously, you brought up Calendar and how he's doing much better compared to what he was. But I think a lot of it is due to Busquets and his ability to just switch the ball, not lose the ball right in the middle of the park, and just be able to slow the game down for everyone, making sure everyone has a pass to make or an option, or even just opening up some space for someone to run into. But that's just me. I think that they'll be fine. I know that they did give up a lot of goals to Dallas, but I mean, hey, it was bound to happen eventually. They don't have the best center backs, but they don't have the worst defense either. And especially now they have Jordi Alba and Busquets. But going back to that final, man, I mean, wow, what a game. Like, 1-1, Messi scores in the first, Nashville scores in the second, the crowd is buzzing, the stadium is packed. Giannis the star is out at the field doing the suies and before the game, the Ronaldo celebration. For those of you who don't know, hyping up the game and everything. Goes to penalties. Goes all the way to goalkeepers. So each of the goalkeepers ended up taking a penalty. And Calendar scored his penalty. And to end the game, Nashville's goalie misses, and that's how it all ends in the Leagues Cup. I mean, what a great tournament, right, Sam?
Yeah, and I think most of the time when it goes down to the keeper, one of them's going to miss because they don't ever shoot. And we've seen that so many times. If when I believe it was the Monterey game, I forget who they were playing. They went all the way to keepers and one of them missed. And we talk about a couple years ago with Man United versus Sevilla in the Europa League finals. It went all the way down to David De Gea and Bono, and David De Gea ended up skying it just because goalies don't really take that many won't take many penalties. It's very rare that they go that long, which makes sense. And we knew it was going to come down because someone's bound to miss. Both teams aren't going to make every single penalty, and we haven't seen it for a while. But it was all in all, it was a good tournament. It was a great game. I love the concept of it, and I'm ready. I'm already ready for next year's.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. And another thing to note real quick before we head over to talking about our Columbus Crew, of course. Inter Miami, unbeaten since Messi's arrival. And after the Leagues Cup, which they didn't lose a single game in, they played FCC of Cincinnati. And what a great game that was as well. It ended in 3-3 in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal, going to penalties, where Inter Miami finished 5 and Cincinnati finished 4, and another great atmosphere where Inter Miami's away. Everyone's in Cincinnati to see Messi. He delivers with 2 assists during the game, just running that offense when they were down most of the game, and they ended up winning in penalties. And then yesterday, they play New York Red Bulls, and they win comfortably 2-0. Not any problems. And I'm really interested to see this Wednesday, August 30th, when they play Nashville at 7:30. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to be watching it for sure. So I would suggest you do too.
Yeah, going back on that, the U.S. Open Cup was a great game. I was able to watch that. And FCC blew it. To be honest, to say it lightly, they did blow it.
Yep. But Messi's passes were crazy though too.
Oh yeah, they were good passes. He set them up. He, like I said, he carried them on their back to get them to extra time, and then Josef Martinez scores in the first 15 minutes of the first extra time, which doesn't happen if Hagelin clears the ball to an FCC fan or honestly, he could have played it anywhere. He had time, he had space, and he just played it right to the open Inter Miami player. I believe it was their outside back, who then just dribbled, found Josef Martinez, and Josef Martinez scores within 5 minutes of extra time starting. And then FCC comes back, scores, tie it up, and then they go to penalties. I believe it turns different if FCC still had all their big boys out on the field, because if you looked at that penalties, you have 2 to 3 defenders taking penalties because you subbed out Brandon Vasquez, you subbed out Luciano Acosta, you subbed out Budapenza, who are your 3 strikers and attacking players that can give you goals, which hurt them in the end. I don't know what Pat Noonan was thinking about subbing those guys out late. I know they're probably tired. It's probably hot. Their legs are dead, but they've been playing so much. But you got to keep them in for that. It's a final. You got to keep playing your starters, and your main guys. How you got there? You don't just sub them out. And there was some frustration on Luciano Costa after he got subbed out, because he's like, "Why are you subbing me out in the finals?" Which makes no sense. And then going to the Red Bulls game, I have no words for the Red Bulls. They're not the same Red Bulls team we've seen in the past, which sucks because they used to be a very good rivals. Now teams destroy them. Yeah, Messi comes off the bench, scores a goal like usual. First debut goal in his debut game off the bench. What's new?
Hey, that pass though that he
Messi.
had was insane. I mean, you see it on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Plays it in between 3 defenders. No one even sees it. And they play right back across, and bam, tap in, goal. Messi said it all.
And we just say that this just shows that Messi should not be here. He should be in Europe still. Ronaldo should be still in Europe. All these players should not be in Europe.
Okay, let's not push it too far about Ronaldo, okay? I don't know.
Ronaldo would be doing fine at United if Ten Hag.
He could have went to Sporting, okay? Come on.
Oops. He's thinking of Sporting. No.
All right. We'll switch gears over to our Columbus Crew. We had 2 games this past week. First off, playing FCC Cincinnati here in Columbus, and what a massive win for this Crew team. You know, we ended up going back to the Leagues Cup. We lose to Minnesota in penalties at home, 3-3, and we lose in penalties 4-3. And just off that terrible loss, which just left a divot in our hearts, really. We played Cincinnati, big game. They're top of the whole league in points, and we crushed them 3-0. And we just looked really dominant from start to finish. Aiden Morris looked like the all-star. He looked like one of the best center mids in the whole league, like he has been for most of the season when he's been healthy. Cucho scores a penalty in the 23rd minute, and Russell Rowe comes in at the end of the game like he usually does, and we will talk about him in a minute, but he scores in the 90th plus 6 minute. So just a dominant performance over Cincinnati. They were missing a few players, but they really didn't look like they ever had a chance of winning outside of that first 10 minutes or so. Sam, what do you think about that game?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see a 3-0 happening. Yeah. It's weird. We're at home. You think we have the momentum, but you forget that we didn't have Wilfred Nancy as our coach. We had Kevin Impadu. Nancy was still serving his suspension from getting sent off before the Leagues Cup started. We started Zawoski. We played our normal people. Our 2 new signings did not play to start the game, but they came on later in the game. Rudy Camacho we got from Montreal, who is a center back. Finally, we get another center back that we can play in the back. Diego Rossi, our new signing. We lost Zelarayan, which was sad, but I think Diego Rossi can replace that contribution that Zelarayan gave us. All in all, it was a great game. Cucho played out of his mind. Our back line looked very good, very They were very disciplined. Didn't get too high up when needed. Stayed back when needed. Gressler looked good. Nagby and Morris are probably the best 1-2 punch in the center mids, and other than actually, I don't know. I can't even tell. Maybe Philadelphia's boys and Josef Martinez,
We are
Jose
number one.
Martinez.
We do have the number one offense in the league right now, though.
Yes, yeah, we do. But I'm talking about center mid partnerships.
Yeah.
You have Bedoya and Martins, and then you have Portland's boys up there who are pretty good still. But 1-2 punch of Aiden Morris and Nagby controlled the game.
Yeah.
Controlled the game. We looked so good. I don't know what FCC looked like. They literally had most of their players, all of their players starting except Matt Miazga did not play, and Santiago Arias came off the bench.
Yeah.
They did, but they had everybody. Cuba came off the bench. Sergio Santos came off the bench, but we shut down Brandon Vasquez. We shut down Buda Penza. Yeah. We shut down Luciano Acosta, who honestly, Luciano Acosta will probably win MVP this year. He is having an unbelievable season. I believe he has 12-6 through the season so far, and it's amazing that he's done. But like I said, great win against FCC. We deserved it. They beat us the first time around 2-0 at FCC, so good. Great to get revenge on them at our place at Lower.com Field, which was amazing. Home win. We'd love to see that. Another sellout crowd. And then we transitioned to the Toronto game. We had Wolf Fernandes back, which was great. Diego Rossi got the first start. And he also scored in the 21st minute to open the account. And then Jason Russell-Rowe finished it off at the end with a goal. We started Camacho as well. So it was Camacho, Morier, and Edmondson in the back, which they look pretty solid. Gressler and Yaya Boa running the wing backs. Morris and Nagby doing their thing. And then our boys up front, Cucho, Rossi, and Ramirez getting the job done. I think it was awesome to see them do that, reenact the Crew's old logo of the three guys with the logo, which the old logo that we all love so much. They reenacted that. Best offense in the league right now. But from the other, yep, that logo right there. But honestly, I don't know what Toronto is doing. What they were doing. Insigne, I'm shocked he started after he left practice early with tempers with the interim coach. Bernadeschi doesn't look the same anymore. They also played Michael Bradley at center back, which made no sense.
Yep.
And we killed him every time. And the crowd was letting him know. But all in all, the Crew looked great. I think we can make a push for the MLS Cup this year. I think we have a strong enough team. We have the best offense. It's just going to come down to defense. We're definitely not going to win the Supporter Shield. We're just too far from FCC to win that. But I think we can make a push. I believe we can overpass Orlando in the standings and New England, maybe finish third. If we finish third, I don't know who we would play in the MLS tournament, but we just don't want to finish in those playoff series spots, 8 and 9. So hopefully we can continue it. I believe we have somewhat of a hard. We play Orlando City coming up soon, and Houston and Montreal. I know we still have to play. We still have to play Philadelphia and New England. Still, who are at the top. And then we'll finish. Funny enough, we'll end the season against Nancy's old team in Montreal on October 21st. So we can make a push. I have all faith in our team to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I do too. And this game, although we didn't look at our best against Toronto, we still look solid. We still have one of the better squads, I think, like collectively, now that we brought in Gressel and Rossi as well to replace Celerion. But, Nagby shoots, Rossi hits a rebound. Still looking for something that he created in his first two games. He didn't really have that, but I'm glad he scored a goal. It was really important. It kind of shifted the game in our favor a lot, as well as Russell Rowe, of course, coming in towards the end and finishing. I would like to see him get some more game time. Jason Russell-Rowe has been really solid in his really limited minutes that Nancy's given him. And I think if he was a regular starter in the MLS, he's at least an average striker, bagging in goals. And I think he's shown that in his limited minutes so far. I hope we can keep him. Uh, he might want out, honestly, eventually, because he is just that talented. He's young. Someone might put in an offer for him eventually, but he's really talented and looking forward to his future. One thing that really stood out to this game for me is, although we only had 8 shots on target, we had 31 shots in this game. 31! Are you kidding me? The Crew, our offense is unmatched. I know Inter Miami have Lionel Messi. We've been talking about him. He scores 10 goals in 7 games. But really, our offense, you can't really match up with us. Yeah, he would score on us, our defense, but I I think we can put up a fight against anyone when we make the playoff time, and that's why I'm really confident in this team. Is we can score with anyone, and as long as our defense is playing solid, like we have against, let's say, Nashville when they came to Columbus, or in this Toronto game, or we looked against FCC, like we have a chance to win everything. And we didn't show that in the Leagues Cup, but I think we do have a chance as long as Rossi really meshes and he's able to start creating some goals like he did with LAFC. I think we have a really good chance of at least winning a few playoff games. I mean, maybe, but the East is really stiff, but we can score with anyone. So I'm really looking forward to the Screw team and what we're gonna do in the future.
Yeah, and I think our biggest competitions we'll see, our big challenges will be against Philadelphia and New England at the end of the season. You forget we put this beating Toronto. That's our 10th straight win against Toronto. Like, this is not the same Toronto team that we've seen in the past that I've had that they don't have a Josie Altidore anymore.
Yep.
Bradley's not at his peak. Yes, they have Insigne and Bernadeschi, but they haven't been good since they came to the MLS. Bernadeschi has been a little bit better than Insigne, but we are just killing them in the series. I believe it's the 3rd straight time we beat them at home, and we've just been dominating. Toronto became the 4th team in league history to lose 10 straight in all competition.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
They're terrible. The Crew are so good at home. In our last 12, we're 9-3. And in the last 24 games, we're 16-1-7, which we have 7 unbeaten streaks of 11. That's more since 2016. Our team is good. We can hang with anyone. I think if we played Inter Miami, we can beat Inter Miami. I'm going with that. I think our team's better. I think our team's better overall than their team. Like you take
I don't know about that.
You take out Messi.
Come on.
You handle
dude.
Messi. They're not doing anything. Everything goes through Messi. If Nagby and Aiden Moore shut him down,
who's gonna handle Messi? Zawatsky, bro.
No, Morris and Nagby.
Come on,
Morris
dude.
and Nagby will handle them.
I love the Crew, but Messi's still the best in the world. Come on, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think our biggest challenge. I think we can get all the way to the MLS Cup, and then we play LAFC. That's who's gonna be there.
Oh god.
We're gonna have to go against LAFC, and they look good.
Tough game, yeah.
Yeah, they're good, and they're the only team.
Our main competition is going to be in the East, though. I think they have the East is just really solid when it comes to playoffs.
If we can beat the top teams in the East, we should be okay against LAFC. I'm not worried.
The only 3 I'm worried about 3 teams. Okay, I'm worried about in the East. That is, I'm worried about FCC. I'm worried about Philadelphia, and
New England.
I'm worried about Inter Miami, bro. If they end up getting to the playoffs, if they get to the playoffs, and they could go on a run, dude. Come on, they're unbeaten since they got Messi, and I know you don't think it could happen, but come on,
I
dude.
don't. They're so far behind. It'll be a miracle if they can win
It
all
would
their
be a
games. They
miracle.
have,
It would probably be the
I
most
believe they have
points
to
a team can have for
win.
a season of all time.
Yeah,
But
I believe they have to win. I think they have to win at least 8 of their games to finish out the
how
season.
many
They
are
have to
left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is an Inter Miami team that still has to. So this is their schedule. They got
Okay.
Nashville.
Yep.
Then they're away against LAFC. Then then it's Sporting Kansas City. Then it's Atlanta United. Then it's Toronto. Then it's Orlando City. Then it's the Dynamos. Then it's FC, New York City. Then Chicago. And then their final 2 games are Inter Miami against FCC. And then they have to play away from Inter Miami and Charlotte on turf.
All I'm saying, if they make to the playoffs, they will be the scariest team in the playoffs. If they win 8 games out of those 11, are you kidding me, Sam? You wouldn't say
They could.
they are the scariest team.
They could be scary, but I just don't think it's gonna happen because they're gonna be playing on so much.
So they played 9
They won't
games
be playing on
since
rest.
Messi got there, right? They played 9 games since Messi got there. And if they win 8 more, right? 17 wins, okay, in 21 games with Messi. And you're telling me they're not the scariest team in the playoffs if they make it. dude, come on.
Okay, they have to win 8, but you have to take out. They have to win 8, but you have to take out one of them because the Dynamo's game is the U.S. Open final.
Okay.
So they're going.
They have to win 8 and 10. 8 and 10 games.
Yeah, and there is a span where they're playing 1, 2, 3, 4 games from September. They're playing this in the month of September. They play the 3rd, the 6th, the 16th, the 20th, the 24th, the 27th, and the 30th.
Dude, if they do it though,
we'll see.
They do it though, they're the scariest team in the playoffs. I'm saying it here first. I don't know if they will. It's yet to be seen. They've looked amazing since Messi's been there. And even if Messi doesn't play, they're still a really formidable squad. So, who knows? But if they make it, scariest team to play in the playoffs. Messi and I leverage situation, dude. He's the most goals in any final of all time. Like, come on, dude. Like,
we'll see.
Yeah. But, so you have any more final points, Sam, before we head off?
Yeah. I think one thing we have to touch on that I just remembered is the World Cup, Women's World Cup happened last week. Spain won their first World Cup, and it's a big thing. Spain wins their first Women's World Cup. We know the men have won one already and more. But pretty much the big thing from that takeaway was the whole thing with the president of Spain and with the president, Luis Rubiales, his inappropriate behavior after the game with the unsolicited kiss to the forward Jenny Hermosa, scores the winning goal to make Spain win the Women's World Cup. And this story was huge. She actually found out that her dad passed away. I believe it was like 24 hours or something like that. Before the game, she learned that her dad died, and then goes out and scores a winning goal, and it's supposed to be a happy time. And then Ribos, unsolicited kiss, which a lot of things have happened with the president. Said he planned to resign. Now he's not planning to resign. And now you're seeing pretty much everybody except for the coach, Jorge Valides, resigned except for him. In recent things, the president said that, and I quote, he said, in this instance, he said that it was a mutual and it was with consent, which with Hermosa coming out and saying that she felt vulnerable, a victim of aggression, impulsiveness, sexist act, which was out of place and with no consent on her behalf, makes us look at it's supposed to be a happy moment, and now that he's been suspended from all football related activities for 90 days, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I think he should resign
Yep.
because of this instance, which we're not on this podcast. We don't talk, we don't really get into the nitty gritties of political sides and big things like this, but it's just in this day and age, there's always these big things. Like we talked last podcast, we talked about Mason Greenwood, return to Man U, and now he's not returning to Man U because there's so many protests of people in the dressing room, people in the organization and club of Man U are quitting or going to quit if he comes back. And another like instant like this with in Spain when you should be celebrating the national team's success. Women's soccer is starting to grow even more now, and this comes out and happens, which should not have happened at all to begin with, which is a terrible thing. But it's a big story that we all see. Multiple people have come out and said have backed Hermosa. The likes of Alexis Putellas says this is over. We saw the Sevilla players wearing T-shirts that said "This is over," echoing the words of Hermosa and the teammates and the two-time Ballon d'Or champ, siding with her, saying, "We are with you, Jenny." That's what Cadiz players did with a banner. People are signing with them. You have the likes of Sergio Ramos, David De Gea, Iker Casillas coming out and protesting about this. We have Xavi Hernandez calling this behavior totally unacceptable. Spanish football needs to take a grasp on this issue because this will get out of hand if they don't handle this correctly.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think a resignation is needed here. It's really sad to see because, Spain, they had a great run. Their team was incredible this World Cup. They became the second nation ever to have a women's and a men's World Cup after Germany. But it seemed like uh, he just made it about himself. It wasn't about the women who won the World Cup at that point, and it shouldn't have been like that. And it's unfair to the players. It's unfair to the Spanish Federation that they were put in that position because of what he did, and I think a resignation is needed. And I know you said that we don't typically get into the politics side of everything, but a lot of times nowadays, politics and sports have become more intertwined, and it's just like it's tough. We can't avoid these subjects because they need to be talked about, and it, it should be about the players. It should be about the great performance Spain had in the finals and the whole run up to the finals. Instead of one person who made it about themselves and was flip flopping on if they were going to resign or not. But I'm glad to see the support that Hermosa had from the rest of Spanish players, both men and women. And like you brought up, Cadiz with the flag and everything. Curious to see what happens. I know that they're suspended now, but I do think a resignation is in order here, and I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, like you hit pretty much hit on the head. We are in this day and age where we can't really escape it, which sucks. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we can't let it go unheard. And I think I believe a lot of the Spanish players are probably going to refuse to play until this situation is over, which is terrible because this is a Spanish I think starting to go into that the
It's
Spain
the golden
generation.
generation,
Yeah,
for the
the
women's
golden
players,
generation.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. And it just sucks that this is what's overtaking everything.
Yep, agree. All right, do we have any final thoughts, Sam?
No, I think that's all I got pretty much for now. We'll be looking
Yep.
forward to everything coming up soon. Hopefully, we'll have Caleb back next week, which should be great. But until then, I got nothing. Do you have anything else, Casey?
No, I think this is a great episode. We covered a lot of important topics and a lot of great football from the past few weeks. So stay tuned. Give us a like on YouTube and Spotify and subscribe. Make sure you share. Tell your friends about our podcast. We will be putting out weekly podcasts here on Sundays. We will continue every week with soccer, and then we will start up with NBA when it gets closer to the season. And then you'll have 2 weeks. So stay tuned and make sure to follow us on all our socials. Thanks for listening.
Sir? See you.
Peace.